shots ring from the woods. Take on 45. Life is good. Shoots more ammo than he probably should. There's commandeering now in the land of the free. Life is good. He's always shooting down in the woods. He probably wouldn't even if he could. Life is good. He wouldn't even if he could. Life is good. Life is good.
Yes, life is good. Hickok 45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee, the home of guess who? We've got to mention again, especially since we have this beautiful firearm out, Alvin York. Yes, Alvin York. We're proud of him. And we're proud of a lot of people in Tennessee. Some, maybe not so much, but many, most people walking the planet, we can be proud of. Yeah, really, I think, yeah. The glass is more than half full. It's just that sliver of people, that very small piece of the pie, are extreme ne'er-do-wells and troublemakers, right? We know that. We've known it for a long time. Look at the internet, look at social media. It's it's demonstrated there better than anywhere. The loudest mouths, the most idiotic people make the most noise, but yet they're a small percentage of us. Yeah, so keep that in mind. I think it's a good thing to remember. It really is. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Think about the people in your family. Think about your neighbors. Most of them are okay, right? Most of them are not idiots. They're not morons. They may act like one occasionally, but they're not. And it's just that small percentage of people. So let's all remember that. Glad you're here, and I'm glad I'm here. Glad that I'm back in Tennessee, of course, like I was last Sunday. And I found a day this week when it's not too bad, but there aren't going to be many. Okay, so I'm a little early, and I might add a little to this. I've learned from my last few weeks, I could patch in a little yakking later on. Maybe riding in my car, riding on my tractor, riding on my four-wheeler, or just get in my Yukon and drive around and talk to you. Yeah, that worked out fine. So I don't know. I can't do it on my tractor. It's too loud, or four-wheeler's too loud as well. As I don't know, maybe I could walk through the woods and just yak at you a little bit. Kind of combine the old shooting the breeze with today. I don't know. So just stay tuned. When I sign off, there might be something that follows. Yeah, especially in the winter time, because it's a nice time to shoot today, but there might be something I want to talk about later, before Sunday, and I can just add it in. So stay tuned. Be careful when I sign off that it is really the end. It might not be. So I'm glad you came out. Like I said, I'm always glad when you come out, and it really would be weird if I stood here and talked to people that are not here. Yeah, there are people who do that. Yeah, there really are. But and it's sad. I shouldn't laugh at it when it's real. We call people crazy all the time. I comment about how I'm a little insane. We always, a lot of us joke about that sort of thing. But there are people who legitimately are not right, and quite insane. Sometimes they do violent things, don't they? And sometimes they just cause other sorts of problems. But it is sad, So a person can be sick in a lot of ways. They can be sick in their stomach, or have cancer, or they can also be sick in their brain. Wiping off my Anaconda. I got it out here too. It's my M14. I was shooting this with a friend up in Clarksville, just yesterday actually, and he had a new 44 he had bought, and we had some 44 Magnum fun, really did. And I thought, I'll wait to clean it really well. Cleaned out the cylinders a little bit, chambers, but I'll shoot it some today, perhaps, before I clean it. Didn't shoot it all that much yesterday. Let him and his son shoot it, and I shot it a few times. But while it's dirty, think about it. It's a good time to shoot a firearm a little more. If that ever happens to you, maybe you go to the range with 3 or 4 of your firearms. One of them you don't really shoot that much. You wish you'd shot a little bit more. You planned to, but you just didn't. Well, I don't know. Maybe you give it a cursory cleaning, good enough, or and you take it next week, or you're going somewhere else to shoot, in a day or two. So maybe you don't clean. You take care of your firearms. I'm not advocating you don't clean your firearms after you shoot them. I typically do, pretty religiously, especially muzzle loaders. But I clean them up. Whereas a lot of people don't. They brag about how I haven't cleaned my Glock in a year or whatever, and I got all these rounds through it and it still functions. That's all fine. You want to experiment and do that, but I just like to know they're all clean. For one thing, I'm too dumb to keep up with it. I have to put it on a spreadsheet. All right, let's see. The M14 has about 73 rounds through it. Since I cleaned it last. I cleaned it a month and a half ago. I don't want it. I have too many guns. I shoot too many firearms, so it keeps it simple if I just keep them clean. But occasionally there's something like that going on where I know I'm going to be shooting something again this week. Maybe we're going to be doing a video with it. A gun we're kind of testing and getting used to. Going to be doing a video. Maybe in 3 days, or I don't know, and going to shoot a little bit more and then do a video. So maybe I don't clean it so much, or I do clean it and start over and just, that kind of thing. I do, as I mentioned before a video with a firearm, a new firearm or something we're kind of testing, reviewing. If we do reviews or tests, I don't know, we don't really brag about doing reviews. Some people do a really good job, very thorough. We just sort of give you our impressions of firearms and shoot them enough to make sure they work and to get an idea what we think about them, right? So I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. I have a hard enough time figuring out what I am, right? Much less pretending to be something I'm not. But one thing I do is I like to start at the same point in a video with let's say we hadn't done a video yet, and I'm just testing this gun, or again, here I go using that word test and review, but you know what I mean. I'm going to do a video on it and give you our impressions and show it to lots of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people or millions before it's over, right? So I like to start with at the same point and make sure it's clean. A couple of times I've not done it, but I typically do that. I do. Sometimes John thinks, you're going to clean it again, or you're going to clean it, or it doesn't really need it probably. No, it probably doesn't, but I'll end up going back into the shed, and I say, well, let me run it. We've been shooting it. Let's start at the same point we always do. So if there is problem, I know it wasn't because we were shooting it and left it really dirty, or it wasn't lubed properly, that kind of thing. So generally we do that. I have done a few just right out of the box, but then again, if there's a problem with it, if it's a semi-automatic or even a revolver, you never know, and I never know for sure. Well, how well lubed was it? What kind of lube was on it? If it's a Smith & Wesson, I pull it out of the box, or a SIG or whatever it is, and it malfunctions, well, I don't know, maybe they had too much lube in it. Maybe there was lube in the chamber. I didn't check it enough. There was maybe it was just dry as a bone. Yeah, but so I like to kind of start for my own sake as much as anybody. I'd like to know what the issue might have been. So at least I can reduce some of the variables, so that if a firearm doesn't act right, I got good ammo, federal ammo, works, right? I mean, anything can have a problem. One out of 1,000 or something. You can have aberrations, like a piece of brass gets stuck in a chamber, or things we talked about. A piece of lead or some weird thing can happen, some aberration, anytime. But by and large, you got good ammo. you know the gun is cleaned and it's lubed, then you can assume there's some mechanical issue, or it's something I'm doing. I'm limp wristing it or something like that. And then you can start thinking about other things. You know, life is hard enough to figure out what problems are occurring with anything, your car or whatever. And so you want to eliminate the easy stuff. That's kind of my philosophy. It's like with a car. I replaced the battery on my Yukon. It's just 3 years old. But it was sounding a little, it's like a real cold spell we had. I didn't like the sound of that. Probably 3 years, hey, new battery. That's something I can fix. You know, I could limp along and make sure it's water in it, get it recharged, whatever, and maybe it'll last another year or it'll do okay. Probably, yeah, probably Murphy's going to be watching me drive to Las Vegas and just wait for me to stay somewhere when it's cold in a motel, come out and get in my car and it not start, you know. So I can eliminate those issues. It's like changing the oil, keeping good tires on it. Now, whether or not the flux capacitor is adjusted right, hey, I wouldn't even know where to find it, you know. So, anyway, yeah, I got this out here too. Let's shoot the, can I go ahead? Let's shoot this thing. I got it lubed up with Ballistol, and I don't have Talon grips on it. We also appreciate their help. I've got Colt grips that came on this baby. All right, let's shoot this thing. I didn't shoot it enough yesterday. All right. I didn't buy this thing to look at. Okay, I've got a water jug in front of a plate. It's otherwise a little close for 44 Magnum probably. But since they had to go through that jug, all right, let's go between those bowling pins and let the cowboy know he is not hiding from us. No sirree. Pop him good. And let's pop Mr. Gong. Yep, heard him ring. And I'm going to try old Mr. Buffalo over there, Mr. Bison. Now, yeah, seems like he's moving a little bit. That was low, I know. Okay. Now, I have to remind myself, Colt turns clockwise. All right, I'm going to hit a bowling pin right here close. Maybe. Look at him spin. I caught him on the side. Woo! Yeah, that's a nice revolver. Still kicks, even though it's heavy. Yeah, we noticed yesterday. It does. Part of that is, here I go, revealing my physics doctorate degree again. But I think sometimes we, you know, I fall for that. It works on some firearms. You get a long barrel, heavy gun, and it does absorb recoil more than a 2-inch barrel, of course. But one thing about a Smith or double action revolver you have to remember also is that big heavy barrel out there. Well, a double action revolver generally comes straight back at you. It doesn't come up like a single action on recoil. What happened? What am I? Oh, there's one ground. It comes more straight back at you. The recoil does, and in some ways, even though it is heavier, you've got a. Am I recording yet? Even though you got a long, heavy barrel, in some ways, it makes it more likely that all the recoil is coming straight back. It's less likely to come up, maybe, you know. So, you know, you could argue that both ways. I think John swears and he claims, and he's probably right, like a X-frame 500 Magnum, you know, Smith & Wesson, in the shorter barrels, whatever, 4-inch, I think he thinks it doesn't kick as much as the long barrel. And and maybe you're right. Because the long barrel, like this, it makes it come right back at you a little bit more. So I'm not sure I gained anything by buying that long barrel, but I like it. It is cool, and it is one really nice looking revolver. And again, it's in a caliber I really like, and it's fun. It's fun. That is, yeah, 99% of shooters love a Python, whether they have one or not, or want one or not. They just love the looks of them, and this is that on steroids. 44 mag. This is the firearm that we all wanted Colt to make back in the 70s. They never would do it. Boy, they could have sold so many of these. They could have sold so many. Well, they did eventually start making, I don't know what year it was, but it had been the early 70s when everybody was wanting the Smith & Wesson, 44 mag, Model 29. Colt had no answer and didn't even seem to care. So it was much later, after the craze had calmed down a little bit for 44 mag. Then they finally got around to it, and they could have done much better earlier on. Yeah. So, and then of course, what can I say about an M14? Boy, just such a nice. This one is the LRB. You've seen it before. Maybe I typically don't link on these Sunday videos, do it like I should. Auto link to the early video on the LRB, but this is the one that's it, and it's called. This is the model. Let's see, LRB Arms. It's the U.S. rifle. Well, they call it the M14. Yeah, M14S or something. Yeah, M14 SA. Okay, and for single action, M14, and it's supposed to be more like the M14 in terms of the receiver and the way it's milled, just everything about it, and it's forged, than Springfield or most of the others. There may be a couple others that do the same thing, but LRB is highly respected, and I thought, well, I'm going to have one of these things. I guess I've ended up with one of them, an M14. Then I'll just go ahead and procure me one of the best, and in the standard, like Vietnam configuration, it's fine. And I just really like it. Of course, I put the limb saver on it, extend the length a little bit. Very nice. So let's put a little more ammo in it, take a couple shots with it. And if you've never fired an M14, M1A, and M1A is a proprietary term for Springfield Armory, by the way. So this really is not an M1A. It's an M14 SA, what LRB calls it. It's like Springfield Armory calls their version of the M14 an M1A. All right. I guess it'll take out a bowling pin, you think? And another water jug there. If you hit it. There's a bowling pin right there. How about that 2-liter down there? This is, what color is that, yellow? This is Yellow Mellow Day, or Mellow Yellow Day. Oh man, let's take out one of these. Oh, got two of them, didn't mean to. There we go, get him really well. Pow. Bring her up, bring her up. Okay. You ever shoot when you don't mean to? If you've been to the shooting range much, I know you do that. If you shoot much, you're on you're almost on target, and boom, and I wasn't quite there, and I let it break. Not an accidental discharge necessarily. You just, let's face it, when you're about on target, it is a very ticklish, sensitive kind of thing, isn't it? It's really kind of a paradox. Shooting is oxymoronic, whatever, contradictory. Because shooting, if you don't shoot, which most of y'all do, probably some, but you think so obviously of the blast and recoil, and think of it as we don't think of it as fine motor skills being used, I guess, as much. It's like we think of it, if we're not careful, of taking a baseball bat and hitting a tree, and throwing a rock at a tree, because you got this gun and it's boom, recoil and noise and all that kind of thing, and power. But the actual act of precision shooting, it requires you, no matter what kind of recoil you have, how much noise and blast you're going to have. It's a very precise, ticklish, fine motor skill, coordination of motor skills, isn't it? You're getting that sight right in the proper place and coordinating the brake on that trigger just at the right time, the right instant, and it's a ticklish business. That trigger is fairly light, so you got to add a little bit of pressure as you're getting on target. For those who don't shoot, that's just kind of telling you something you might not know, you might not think about. So it really is a contradiction in a lot of ways. Unlike most, sports, hobbies, whatever you want to call it. And that's what makes it difficult. It's one thing that makes it difficult, isn't it? For a new shooter and for an old shooter. It's why we get flinch. Because all that's going to happen, that recoil and blast and noise and everything, all that's going to happen, we know it. But leading up to it, we're trying to do something that's like threading a needle, something very delicate, with this heavy piece of steel. So it's a challenge, and that's one thing we like, don't we? We humans, well, those of you who are human, we enjoy things like that are a challenge. Whether it's throwing a frisbee or a basketball, or shooting an arrow. It's just a pastime of human beings. I would guess that as far back as you want to go, Homo sapiens were probably doing something that would be considered sport, throwing rocks at a tree, even though they were busy trying to survive too, but practicing, because they would use a rock, I'm sure, to maybe knock out a piece of game to eat or whatever, a club. So I'm sure they had their games and things like that. I'm sure they had a sense of humor, right, before they could use a computer back in the day of some sort. So it's just something we enjoy doing. This, by the way, this is a 308 or 7.62x51 new shooters, the M14, a firearm that is beloved by many. As I have said quite often, anytime we post a video with one of these, go back and read comments on the M14 video, M1A videos, M14, LRB, whatever else we've done, variations of this. I guess mostly it's M1A videos, Springfield, and then the LRB, 2 or 3 videos with it. And look at comments. Numerous Vietnam vets comment about how they loved this rifle and how they hated to give it up. Some had to give it up for an M16 and all that kind of thing. So I don't know, maybe it gets a little too much love. Maybe it's not warranted, in a lot of ways. Maybe a lot of those people never did carry an M16, and they just heard the horror stories about some of the early ones, and they're just, maybe that adds to their love for the M14. They didn't really experience an M16 A1 once they got the kinks worked out and the ammo corrected, because you also see a lot of love for that rifle. Like anything else, again, to repeat myself, there are going to be a certain percentage of haters, and of course legitimate haters if they actually had one of those that jammed because of the bad ammo and the non-chromed chambers and all that on the early models. But people who actually never even used them or anything, there's still a percentage of haters there because they read about that or they heard about it from their uncle or grandpa or somebody or dad. And so to them, every M16 is totally worthless. But if you also look at comments and listen to service people who carried the M16A1 or in any variation since then, because that's basically the same, essentially, not that different from the current M4s, and same mechanism basically. You just get different barrel lengths and different issues like that. But most people will tell you that I see in commenting and messages that they were very, very pleased with their M4, their M16, whatever. As long as you keep them serviced, they do very, very well. So, but I tell you, the love for these things, wow, it's palpable. You just feel it. There's so much. And I see why. I remember this was in the 80s, I had never fired one, and I had a friend who had a gun shop, and he was always bragging about them. He brought one over one day in the mid-80s, and I fired it, and I thought, wow, that is a sweet shooting rifle. I had fired a G3 H&K semi-auto, which is a fairly violent action. It's blowback and boom, it just is. Compared with this, where this is gas operated, it considered maybe less reliable. I don't know. I've never had trouble, and most people don't. But the difference was just really striking to me between shooting this and the HK. The HK. Nothing wrong with either one of them, but these things are really soft shooting and fun to shoot. No doubt about it. I'm really happy to have one. I'm happy to be alive and have one, to have any of them, right? So, like I said, I'm just going to shoot right now, I think, and then enjoy this almost balmy weather. It's really cool, it really is. Well, it's not too cool. It's cool that it's not cool. Well, it's not hot. No chance of getting sunstroke, but I tell you what, looking at the forecast, it looks pretty bad. Looks pretty bad. So I'm just smart enough to check the weather and see which day it is that I want to shoot, because I don't know if I could go a week without coming out and shooting, and so I'd like to invite you all along, right? Might as well. Like, why not? You expect it, right? Yeah, so here we are. What was I going to shoot? Oh yeah, I'll shoot this 44 again. I was thinking, saw a video of someone shooting a shooting range where they were shooting off a bench rest and some things, and then in my buddy's shooting range, and there's different things. It occurred to me again how maybe we don't think about that. You don't think about it, but firearms that a particular person is especially interested in and shoots a lot of, sometimes is dramatically affected, determined by where he or she shoots and what kind of range it is. I mean, that I guess seems pretty obvious, but it's yeah, you think about it. Any number of people are not into all the crazy different kinds of guns I am in shooting. If they have a place to set up a shooting range, they might have basically a rifle range, and have benches where you bench rest it and you're shooting in the closest target. Maybe it's 50 yards and 100 and on out, okay? And they don't even fool with the 50-yard range that much, necessarily. Maybe they're not even into handguns, or they got something up to shoot at with a handgun, a little closer or something. But so, it's just a different, you pull out your, which I happen to have in my pocket, you pull out your SIG, right? P365 XL with Wilson combat grips and Talon grips on it. You pull that out to shoot or something, and you really don't have a good, place to well, like I do, okay? And the reason I do is I I just have been to a lot of shooting matches and steel matches and, you know, USPSA and cowboy matches and just all that stuff. And so I want to enjoy everything, every firearm I have, every firearm I enjoy. I mean, it's a which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of deal, I guess. But the guns you're interested in, the kind of shooting you're interested in, you set up targets for that, right? Yeah. But or if you have access to a place, say this was your place and you could shoot here, then it might affect what guns you buy and what kind of shooting you get into. Whereas you live somewhere, and this is the case for a lot of people, I would guess, the only range you have access to within 100 miles is a really nice, more or less rifle range with those good covered benches and all that kind of thing. You can go stick up a piece of paper maybe at 20 yards if you want to, but it's mainly set up for, you know, distance. And so you're more likely to kind of fall into that, well, what rifle would I like to shoot there, and go buy your rifle, and you're more likely to lean towards that type of shooting. And not as much fun a place to say, well, like pick up a SIG or any carry pistol or even a cowboy pistol of some sort and just bang it steel there at, like at whatever, 15, 20 yards, and play with that, so it really does make a difference, doesn't it? Now, if you ever thought of that, that's my job, to try to help you think of things you might not have thunk about yet, right? Oh, yeah, okay. Let me try that buffalo again. All right. I need to shoot this more. That's one reason I wanted to shoot it. I was I shot it okay, but then I was missing some yesterday. I realized I did not shot this thing enough and got the sights adjusted, maybe to feel comfortable with where to hold at various distances. I think I heard it ring. That sounded like a hit. All right, let's save him for the M14. Let's pop the cowboy in the head again. Boom! In this bowling pin right here. He is about shot, as they say. He's basically sawdust, I think, is about all that's left of him. Yeah. Again, don't forget, keep track of what's going on with the braces and social media, YouTube, everything else. Make your voice heard. Make your voice heard. Definitely affects the way we all live and what we're able to do, what we're able to see, and just what's accessible, what's not. So, yeah, let me take a couple shots with this. M14, wow. Again, did I finish my thought on that? It shoots the 7.62 by 51. Maybe more commonly known as the 308. And this one, it's okay. I mean, I don't know, there may be some 308 ammo you don't want to fire in an M14. I know in a Garand you got to be more careful about that. You could bend the op rod, different things. Maybe as well. I mean, you don't want to. I don't think you want anything like extremely hot on in an M14, M1A. But I don't think you have to dance around quite as much and be quite as careful as you do with M1 Garand. I don't think you want to get over 150 grain ammo, bullets in a Garand. That's generally what I shoot in this 147, the same ammo. NATO spec, so yeah, and they're just really nice pistols, but My stuff here blow away. I'll take a couple more shots with this baby. I can get my stuff together here. All right, M14, and this one's actually purdy too, I think. All right. You notice it's a little awkward. I do that. I unload it, when I bring it around because I want to show it to you, hold it and all that kind of thing. I feel like I don't really want to do that if it's hot, with a round in the chamber. We did a short recently. It's hard to do that without being a little awkward. It was a short on finger discipline, I think, trigger finger discipline, and hopefully you saw that. And I would shoot, and I turned around and was, demonstrating my finger. Well, I didn't want to point the thing up in the air with a hot, chamber and all that kind of thing. And so I would pull the mag out and fire it. Then I'd bring around and do that. I don't know if you could tell what I was doing, but I just wanted to make sure it was totally empty when I did that. And that's something we need to do a short on or a FAQ video about in some ways, because occasionally, not very often, I have seen someone talk about that, or about bringing muzzle discipline and doing videos, bringing guns around and showing you, or whatever it is, and it's something maybe some people don't think about, but it does feel awkward lots of times doing that. Just like if I bring this revolver around and show you and different things. Well, normally at a shooting table, I mean, most of the time, I guess, in most people doing videos, the camera's behind you. You can see what you're shooting at and that kind of thing. You're trying to talk to the camera, and I guess in most cases, or a lot of cases, sometimes it's different, but if I was out here by myself just shooting, for example, and y'all know this, but maybe some people don't think about it, my guns are going to be here pointing forward, and I am never going to be having my gun point this way, that way. I'm never going to be bringing it around. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes people go diving. If you're at a shooting range, right? Someone starts to turn around with their gun. Wow, rifle, shotgun, or handgun, you're diving for cover, and you're getting them off the range, all that sort of thing. Well, of course, I'm here by myself, and I'm not doing it with a loaded gun, and the only reason I'm doing it is to show you. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. We're presenting firearms and talking about them and explaining, and so it's a different sort of thing. I guess it's like a little bit of a poetic license that we exercise, but you do realize if you're going to the shooting range, you're not filming anything, and you're just, everything is out that way. That's it. The world can end back here, right? And the same for me. If I'm at my shooting table just trying out some guns and shooting, I'm never turning around with a firearm, empty or not. All right. Anyway, we ought to do an FAQ or some kind of short on that. What was I going to do? Oh, I was going to shoot the M14. Speaking of that. All right. I'll shoot. You know what? I've not shot that paper yet. Should I put a 308 on it? Let's do that. Maybe I can hit the bullseye. Tore it up. All right. I thought that would happen. Yeah, I was saving that 2-liter for this thing, wasn't I? Woo! 308 gets it done. Gets it done. All right. Pow, that's what I want to hear. Got to bring it up right across the middle. It hits right where it's aimed. When I miss those, I'm typically, those red plates over there, I'm typically going low, and I know it, I'm holding at 6 o'clock, and it's just a tad low. Let me bring it up on that left one. Yeah, that's right there. Right there, too low. All right. Maybe I should move the sights just a hair. I do kind of like to hold on the bottom. Yeah. So I might mess with that and raise that rear sight just a hair. 'Cause I do kind of like to hold, kind of set what I'm trying to shoot on top of the front sight a little bit more. But that's not bad. Not bad at all. What else could I shoot with this thing? This bowling pin down here? I don't want to damage it. Yeah. That's some power. That's some power, no doubt about it. All right. Yes, try to experience one of these at some point in your life so that your life will be complete. You will not be leading a lame life. Yeah, I can't resist picking on people, can I? Your life is not lame if you've never fired an M14, but your life is more enriched if you have. How's that? How's that? And as I talk about a lot, it is, I am very, very fortunate in my life. Since I enjoy firearms, now if I didn't care much about firearms, I wouldn't be very fortunate, would it? And if you don't care much about firearms that much, why are you here? But if you don't care that much about firearms, then you would not consider it all that fortunate. But I consider it fortunate that I've been able to experience a lot of firearms and can relate to how they feel, how they shoot. You know, when I see them in movies or military actual footage or whatever it is, you know, just having, I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, but it's kind of neat. I think about, I forget about that. I've spoken to this before, I think, how I forget that there's so many people that sit and watch Westerns all the time. Old guys like me or young guys watch Western movies or watch Vietnam movies, whatever they watch, and they've never fired an AK-47. They don't know what that round is like at all, you know, and certainly maybe not full auto, and I have. They've never fired a 45 Colt, you know. Colt single action. You know, the firearm they have watched hours and hours and hours of Roy Rogers or John Wayne, you know, carrying and shooting. And they have no idea what it feels like to drop the hammer on one of those rounds or to handle that firearm or how it comes apart maybe or whatever. And yeah, so I don't know, it's just, I forget about that because I've been into firearms so long. And I just have an appreciation, of course, I should, even if I'm an idiot, right? I mean, even a dummy learns a little bit, you know, after enough time doing something. So it does enhance, and it also causes you to notice the stupid stuff, right? You know, in movies or when something is unrealistic, you know, in a movie or just anywhere, somebody's making stuff up or, you know, whatever it might be. But yeah, I do fully appreciate that, and that I appreciate that I've had that experience. Is what I'm saying, and I try to appreciate everything, you know, and know when something is good. I can remember jobs I've had. I'll save my yakking for later, but I've had jobs where various periods, you know, oh man, this is tough. Sure, this is going to be a tough 6 months, or my schedule, or what I got to do, and all that. You just know, man, I don't know, I might need to be looking for another job. But then I've also had periods where this is great. I got a really good schedule now. I need to enjoy this and savor it and realize it. You know, that this is cool, what I'm getting to do right now. It could be a lot worse as I look around, and it has been a lot worse, and this will change too. But appreciate it when you know things are good, or you know, whatever, you know. So anyway, I think I'll let you go. Like I said, I might patch in some yakking here. I just want to come out and shoot today because it's so nice, and bring you along and do number 162, because that means it is February, right? Hard to believe. So a few more weeks, we'll start going the other way, weather-wise. And so I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do. I might walk around the place with my phone and yak at you. I got one of those that I was using in the car. What do you call it? A selfie stick. Is a tripod, but you can fold it and hold it out there. so I can be like a teenager, you know. But the phones are amazing these days. I'm so impressed with the cameras on phones. I was waiting for that to happen. I'm glad it did. I used to predict it will happen eventually, because for years I carried a cell phone, and also a pocket digital camera for a long time. I mean a long time. That's really one reason we got into this. That shooting the buffalo, the first video posted back in 2007. That's just because I always had that camera in my pocket, digital camera. I thought that was cool, be able to do that and put it on the computer and, you know, move things around, save things, pictures and short little MPEGs and things. And so I just pulled it out. I was out shooting that day, you know, messing around, hiking the farm like I do all the time, the compound, and I just pulled that out. You know, if I can do this while I shoot, and, you know, bam, bam, and, you know, and that was before I think we even had a YouTube. We had done anything on YouTube. I didn't think, okay, I'll do this and put it on YouTube. It's just, I'll just record this, you know. And then we had stuck it on there, whatever, a year later, I don't know. So, anyway, two really, really cool guns. I'm fortunate to be able to shoot the Anaconda 44 Magnum. Very, very pleased that I bought that. And I'm very pleased that I bought this LRB M14 SA 7.62 by 51 308. Very, very nice rifle. Wow, they are just they are wonderful, hard to beat. Also glad I've got this ammo to throw through it from Federal. So we appreciate everybody that helps us, and this could be it. I may just let it ride here, or I might just pull out my phone and yak at you some more. You never know. I'll try not to make it an hour and a half, I think, like I did last week. But and then and again, I hope we're still here next week. If not, you know where to find us. Life is good. Yep, I told you I might stick something on the end. Yeah, here I am, out in the woods, tromping around in the ice and snow. I was right. Yeah, not a good day to set up on a shooting table and have some fun shooting. Although, you notice, I do have my favorite, well, I don't know about favorite, but my big Anaconda right here with me, just in case. You never know what you might encounter out here, tromping around quietly in the woods, right? Kind of like our woods walks, where they're just so incredibly quiet that we can sneak up on any sort of, I don't know, dangerous 2-liter, right? Whether there's knee-deep leaves or whatever. Oh yeah, so I won't keep you long, but I thought, well, I'll just stick a little bit onto the end here. You just never know. So now you won't be able to trust me when I sign off and I say life is good, because it might be good, but it might get better. Well, better, really? More yakking? But yeah, anyway, it's pretty cold out here. It's below freezing, if you can believe that, right? And but it was great shooting the M14. Yeah, it's been a few days ago now. And the Anaconda, got her all cleaned up, but she's loaded and she's ready in case there would be an attack of some sort. You never know. Could be a bear come after me while I'm out here, or some 2-legged varmint. Well, bear's 4-legged, right? Yeah. So anyway, since I talked to you last, the brace ruling thing has been published and all that, so I guess we're all on the clock, right? I guess we're pretty much aware of that now. There's been a lot of videos on that, and you probably know and what's going on there, that we all have decisions to make if we have those things. And yeah, maybe they'll get overturned, be restraining order, a stay, whatever, who knows, too early to know. But check that out, you know, and make sure you're you know, in the process of making a decision about that. It doesn't affect me as much because I just have one. If I were a normal-sized human being, wow, I'd probably be caught with about, well, caught, you know, it's a double meaning. You know, I would very likely have several of those, maybe a bunch of them, because, you know, they're very popular, and if you can actually shoot them from the shoulder, they're pretty useful to a lot of people, right? And but it's rare that one of them fits me very well. And I did find that one, the Scorpion, and you know, you saw it in the video. It's been, you know, it's been worked over and all the great parts on it, and it fits me. And I really liked it. Yeah, but not so much now. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to. I don't. You know, the thing is, that one's a little bit of an aberration because they got that long fore end on it, and I had trouble getting a suppressor on and off of it. Big trouble because of that. But I liked it. I liked the length of it. And I actually had been looking for a carbine barrel to put on it. I was just, well, I might as well just, I got this long fore on my handguard. I might as well just put a carbine barrel on it. And that way I can get the suppressor on and off more easily. And I was actually looking for one, had been looking for one, and you just can't find them. So, you know, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that thing. Yeah, to me, they're totally useless as a pistol. Gosh, give me any good modern pistol, you know, whether it's a Glock, an M&P, a SIG, a Ruger, whatever it is, 9mm pistol, and I'll carry that long before I ever have that crazy Scorpion, you know, with me, you know, without a stock or a brace on it. But for normal sized people, those things are really popular, and a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised, might have 4 or 5 or 6 of those things, and now maybe faced with some decisions to make on that. So anyway, that's come down. Again, a reminder, I keep seeing, you know, people being harassed over nothing in past videos, for things that just do not make sense to be harassed about. And you know, it's going to come around to us eventually. It did on one video that was deemed inappropriate for youth or whatever, I don't know, but nothing extreme yet. Could be coming tomorrow, tonight, could be gone. You don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, like I said, I think already we'll post on Rumble and let you know, Gunstreamer, you know, Facebook, Instagram, you know, let you know what's going on. So you know, everything is going to Rumble right now, and maybe going to some other places as well that we do new. And there's just so many, there are a lot of platforms out there that actually have freedom, respect the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. But man, they just don't have the capability. I've been experimenting and messing and doing the research, and it's just hard to find them that have the capabilities of YouTube. That's the sad thing. Not to mention connected with Google, where everybody is, you know. That's the big thing. But then, from a management standpoint, now if you're just going to look at a video, you know, you're not a creator, quote unquote, yourself. You don't really notice that much difference. Oh, there's a deer. There's 2 deer up there. Let me see if you can. They're up there on the trail. I don't know if you can see them up there. They are not bothered by me. You can see them moving now. Whoop. Walking around up there. There's, you see the white tail maybe of that one. Creeping around in the ice and the snow. But where was I? Yeah, they're just the capabilities are just immensely different, you know. If there's not some kind of moderation capability and ability to modify descriptions, update, and that kind of thing across 2,000 or 3,000 videos, you know, it's just almost not feasible for us anyway. But anyway, there there are options there, and so we will keep you abreast of that if we have to use those for everything or maybe just some videos. So sorry that's all happening, and maybe it will be reversed as well. Maybe people will get common sense. Who knows? Who knows? So, speaking of that, I saw Gutfeld recently, and he is full of gems. What was he? I forgot what it was. Someone backlash or somebody upset about something, and I don't even remember what it was. But he said it must be nice for people to have a life that is so simple that they can get upset about things like that, And that's really what a lot of it comes down to, isn't it? It really is. It really is. But boy, my hand's freezing. I'm freezing. That's okay. I'm tough. One other thing I was gonna maybe yak about, I don't know, I didn't give any advice for young people, did I? Well, I was playing with my M14 and my Anaconda here. Make sure you can see it. Ain't that a beaut? Ain't it a beaut? Like my Diamond D custom leather holster they sent me. I tell you what, if I were in Alaska, this is definitely what I would have. I think I am in Alaska today. But a chest holster is just a wonderful option. It seems like anywhere else is in the way. Y'all know that use a chest holster. It keeps the firearm out of the way so well. It really does. It's hard to beat. Anywhere else, it's in the way at some point. But one thing I was going to talk about in terms of advice, be careful, young people, and really this is for everybody. It comes to mind with this Memphis deal, the police action and all that, and the sad events that occurred down there this past week or so. Actually happened, a few weeks ago, I guess, but come to a head this week. And of course that was some kind of special unit, and they're dealing with the toughest situations and all that kind of thing. But that kind of thing can happen in almost any endeavor. People kind of form a bubble. Whatever their job is, a lot of times it is employment related. You're working with people and doing whatever it might be. And you get this us versus them mentality if you're not careful. It's us versus them. It can be on all sorts of levels. In the Memphis situation, it turned lethal. Okay, and others it could as well. And if you're in war, it is kind of an us versus them, right? But it's easy for that to develop. How many times I see Bambi over there walking around the other hill now, barely through the trees and the ice. But how many times this could happen with doctors to some extent? And I'm not talking, well, it could be lethal. Nurses, teachers, employees at a freaking fast food restaurant, anywhere you go, haven't you been places before where you feel like you're an intruder into their system? And you kind of are. Instead of the customer, a worthy customer, paying customer, a client, whatever, a citizen, volunteer, whatever role you playing or I am. Sometimes don't you notice you feel like you're the bad guy. You're interrupting their party, their system, when that system is quite possibly created and exists to serve you or me, whatever it is. On a lesser scale, how many times you've gone into a fast food restaurant, a business, it could be a drugstore, anything. You're trying to get some help or get someone to answer a question or whatever. And it's like there's 2 or 3 employees and they're just yakking it up with each other. And it's like you're bothering them that you're there, because they have developed a culture, which is a good thing. You want to like your job and work with people you enjoy being with and the camaraderie and all that. So, we've all been there and that's good. That's a good thing. But if you're an employee somewhere, whatever, and most of us have been or are, keep in mind why you have that job. I mean, if you're working at Wendy's or you're at Target, or if you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a cop, you're a whatever you are, you're there to serve the people that come through the door. You're there to help people. You know, they're the priority, not your coworkers, right? You know, yakking it up or having a joke with them and customers bugging you. Oh, come on now. Okay, yeah, here's your burger. Get on out the door. You're interrupting our fun. You know, but there's a mentality, us versus them. And in a more extreme case, you know, like in police work or in anything, especially where it's a very, very difficult situations. And the customer's not coming in for a burger. Quite often the customer is a bad guy or someone who might potentially hurt you. You know, so it's even more likely to happen, of course, in those environments. But everybody has to remember and keep in mind why you're even doing the job you're doing. You're there to help people, take care of people in some form or fashion in a lot of cases, and they come first. And it is really, really difficult. If you're dealing with difficult situations all day long, everybody has a problem. You know, everybody that comes to you has a problem. Some businesses are just sort of, that's just, or endeavors are just sort of that way. You know, the only people, like you're in customer service, 9% of what you're dealing with is a problem. And you just deal with that all day long. It's really easy to get jaded. You know, teaching is a little bit like that. You know, I mean, kids are difficult to deal with. Do I need to tell you that? And, and you know, it's very easy for a teacher, that's why some of your teachers, you thought they were just always upset, mad, or in a bad mood. They might have been. You know, they just didn't handle it well. And I'm sure I was in a bad mood at times. I was not really particularly moody, but you know, in that sense. But you know, you just have to overcome that. You know, you're there to help people. You know, and every individual that needs help is there because they need help, and they don't need an attitude from you. And you don't need to have this circle the wagons mentality with you and your colleagues and act as though the customers, the students, the patients, the clients, the citizens are all a problem. No, they're the reason you have that job. They're the reason you're even there. Just keep that in mind. It's hard. It takes a lot of patience in a lot of jobs because people, do I have to tell you, are tough to deal with quite often, right? And if you deal with that all day long, it's especially challenging. But be different. You know, treat everybody as an individual and be good to people. You know, so especially until they prove otherwise. Now, some people are just a real problem. There's no doubt about that. So that's my rant on that. And I probably don't have anything else useful to talk about. So I'm just gonna let you go and enjoy nature, walking around here freezing, and the ice on the trees, little freezing rain, ice, all kind of the same thing, has been falling last day or two. And I was actually pretty smart to do the Sunday video just before it fell. But then maybe I'm not so smart for being out here right now, freezing. Yeah. Although Bambi, both Bambis, I think there were two of them, they didn't seem to be freezing. So why am I complaining? I'm not. So this time, I really am signing off. And yeah, life is still good.